For this book report, I read Laughing at My Nightmare by Shane Burcaw. The book is a memoir of Shane's life and experiences, told with loads of humor about being an individual with spinal muscular atrophy. Spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA for short, is a genetic disease that is caused from the lack of having one of the two proteins that help create and maintain muscle tissue. Therefore, Shane's muscles are deteriorating more and more every day. This then affects Shane's motor movements like walking, talking, eating, and even holding his head up. However, through it all, Shane manages to maintain a positive but realistic output while always finding something to laugh about. It is this mentality that led Shane to start his blog, Laughing at My Nightmare in college, which was created as a platform for him to share his funniest stories, give a very personal look into his disease. His blog exploded with support and followers from all around the world. Since that blog, Shane has created Laughing at My Nightmare Incorporated, which raises money for SMA research and supports other individuals with SMA. He also has made documentaries, traveled around the nation speaking to schools and companies, and has written many books like Laughing at My Nightmare. Through it all, Shane's accomplishments, his constant message to everyone is that there's little you can do about the adversities life throws at you. However, you can control how you react to those situations, so why not have a good time? When Shane's parents learned that Shane was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy, they took it in stride and handled it extremely well. His parents decided as soon as they got the diagnosis that they weren't going to let this affect the amazing life they wanted their son to have. That mentality is seen throughout the whole book, in the family, and is passed on to Shane too. He always finds a way to participate in sports with his friends, play video games, attend public schools, and go to dances. However, sometimes he has to participate in a different way than we may typically do. For example, when he was younger, Shane was playing basketball with his brother and a friend. They wanted to dunk, however, they were too little. So Shane came up with this idea to attach a rope to his motorized wheelchair, loop it over the basketball hoop, and then tie the other end around his brother's waist, which would then pull his brother up to the basketball where he could proceed to dunk. This is just one of 1,000 examples where Shane finds a way to participate and make his limitations into a positive thing. When Shane does face difficulties and things get hard, there are a few steps that he takes to deal with it. First, he asks if this is going to negatively affect his life 10 years from now. If it isn't, he forces himself to drop the problem. If it is going to negatively affect him in the long run, such as his disease, then he again forces the problem out of his mind and focuses on things that make him happy, like laughing. Shane has realized that he has no control over those more serious problems, so what's the point in worrying about them? There isn't one. An example of this was in high school when Shane had to do a 10-minute speech for a class. However, his jaw muscles are deteriorating more and more, which has made it difficult for him to talk for long periods of time. Eventually, he starts to mumble so badly that it's almost impossible to understand him. Shane still attempted to do the speech, and as expected, he started mumbling a couple minutes into speaking and had to stop. Instead of letting this moment be extremely embarrassing, he started hysterically laughing and didn't care at all that it was an embarrassing, awkward moment for him. While I was reading this book, I recognized a lot of content that relates to our class and what we have been learning about. 3 major themes that I realized between our class and this book is the connection of adaptive devices, class integration, and how the environment around us is adapted for people with disabilities. First, right away in the book, Shane mentions the importance that adaptive devices have had on his life. He has an app that makes his phone into a keyboard and mouse pad for his computer, which is extremely helpful for the work he does with the blog and nonprofit. Shane also mentions the importance of an extra long bendy straw he uses for coffee. It is primarily used for his coffee since he is a morning person. Shane states that these little adaptations are what allow him to thrive. Another adaptive device he has is his motorized wheelchair, which is classified as assistive technology. Getting the wheelchair is an extremely important assistive device in Shane's life because it has increased his independence greatly compared to when he was a child and relied on people to pick him up and move him. Next, Shane is in public school where he is extremely integrated into the classes with individuals who don't have disabilities. This type of integration is called full inclusion, which is a belief that individuals with disabilities should be taught in classrooms that are all general education, so no special education for individuals with disabilities. Shane has preferred full inclusion with school, and it has benefited him in so many ways. The only special school Shane ever attended was in preschool, and since then he has attended school with full inclusion except for 2 instances. In middle school, Shane had to ride the short bus. Additionally, in high school, he was forced to take an adaptive physical education class. In both of these special school things, he felt extremely separated from his friends, had negative thoughts about himself and other individuals with disabilities. Other than those 2 things, Shane has been fully integrated into school, which has only had a positive impact on him, supporting full inclusion in schools. Lastly, Shane has faced some challenges with accessibility in the outside environment. Even though the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 was passed, Shane still gets worried about going places because he doesn't know how accessible things will be for him. An example of this is when he went to go see Michelle Obama speak. When his friend Lily called to tell him that she got tickets to see Michelle Obama's speech, he was hesitant to say yes because he didn't know if the venue was accessible. Usually, Shane has to do a lot of research before going somewhere to make sure that it is accessible, there is a handicapped sitting area, and that he can sit with his non-handicapped friends. This last part, not being able to sit with his non-handicapped friends, is a problem that Shane has to worry about a lot, he says. So, even though the ADA passed, Shane still has to worry about going somewhere and being singled out to sit somewhere else without his friends or family. Shane gave the readers a deep look into what daily life looks like for an individual with a disability. He didn't hide any of his story from us, so it was extremely raw and real. We even learned about how he poops. Some deeper stuff that we got an inside view of was how he has dealt with his disease and the environment and people around him. It was through those experiences in the book that Shane taught us many life lessons. These life lessons are important for everyone, no matter an individual's disability, ability, culture, beliefs, or background. I know that I am always going to keep the lessons Shane taught me with me in the back of my head. Additionally, Shane made me laugh out loud multiple times while reading this book. Sometimes I forget how powerful laughter is and how much joy it can bring to other people's lives. That is something I want to remember when I myself or someone I'm close to is having a difficult time. Or I will just make my way over to Shane's blog. I really enjoyed this book and would definitely recommend it to anyone.